Well, that's the theme, isn't it? And coming along in a jaunty way to our theme is Michael Snyder from out on the West Coast, going to tell us about some cultural notes. How you doing, Michael?
I'm good, and the real blast is not culture blast, but that blast from the sky, the river in the sky, the big deluge, and how appropriate.
Where are you? You're in San Francisco?
No, I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, well, if you were in San Francisco, you'd really be drowning.
Yeah, much worse. Here, things not quite as bad, but at the same time, I'm thinking, deluge, and what's opening this weekend but Exodus, Gods and Kings. So, it's going biblical on your ass.
Advance word is this picture looks great, but the acting sucks.
Well, I got to tell you, it's the Jews versus the Egyptians in the great genocidal grudge match of ancient times. As Ridley Scott, yes, Mr. Gladiator, Mr. Alien, Mr. Prometheus, goes full CGI epic on the famous Bible story of Moses leading the children of Israel out of Egyptian bondage with an assist from the big guy upstairs. And you know the story. Slaves, right? Armies, brother versus adopted brother, supernatural stuff. You remember Cecil B. DeMille's 10 Commandments. We've seen it a million times. This ain't it. I mean, the casting here seemed ludicrous to me. When Charlton Heston seems more Jewish than the current Moses, something's wrong. Everybody always laughs. Yeah, they're a perfect guy to play the leader of the Hebrews, Charlton Heston. But, I mean, compared to Christian Bale, Heston seems like Jackie Mason. I mean, here you get Batman as Moses. And although he's playing Pharaoh Seti, Moses' adoptive dad, John Turturro is more like Barton Pharaoh. I sat here and I waited for hey, you Jews, get out of here. But that never happened. Sigourney Weaver is Mrs. Pharaoh, the alien connection with Ridley Scott. You got Joel Edgerton, who's a wonderful actor, and he's playing, I don't know, Blue-Eyed Ramses. It wasn't a song by Sugarloaf? No, that was Green-Eyed Lady. Anyway, Tara Fitzgerald, who is clearly from the Irish part of Cairo's Jewish quarter, plays Moses' sister Miriam, and only Ben Kingsley, another Brit, as Nun, a Hebrew of some repute, sells this. I mean, this was so dull, Alex, that when Pharaoh's heart was hardened and God turned the waters of the Nile to blood, my date actually leaned over and she said, finally, the plagues. I mean, it was like, you get your obligatory Red Sea scene that goes on and on and on and on, which is not a quote from Journey, but actually how it felt. And then you get the tablet sequence. Now, you remember in the 10 Commandments by Cecil B. DeMille, you get Moses up on the mountain, and God is throwing fireballs at some stone, and the commandments keep appearing. And every time they appear, it's like Don LaFontaine is going, "Thou shalt not kill." You get none of that here. You get Moses chipping away at some puny little tablets, and then no golden calf. Where was the worship of Baal? Where's the big party? This went from stately to turgid, and the burning bush.
This was a perfect example for some tits.
Oh yeah.
They could come back and show that bacchanalian revelry that was going on when Moses came down from the mountain in full force.
No, you see it in a long shot, and you don't see a golden calf. Where's the golden calf? Anyway, so the burning bush is like this blue flame thing, and it had a lot more character than most of the humans on screen. And the film was so expensive to make, I'm just glad there wasn't some sort of overt Kingsford charcoal or Zippo lighter fluid product placement for the burning bush. Brought to you by, I mean, I just thought it was pretty weak. Exodus, I wanted to exit the theater. Exodus, Gods and Kings. Moving on.
How was the 3D?
It was 3D-licious. I mean, I didn't care. I mean, after a while, when a movie is that long and you're looking through 3D goggles, things get a little wearisome. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And again, maybe if God was throwing more fireballs at the screen, there would have been something cool about the 3D. The plagues were fun. And really, seriously, finally, the plagues.
Well, the plagues are fun on Passover, so, I mean, they've got to be a delight in a movie, but...
There you have it. Inherent Vice is a much better film, but a very odd film based on a period novel by Thomas Pynchon, which deals with the crumbling and the descent into depravity of the hippie love era. And it's set in Southern California, largely at the beach and on the streets of L.A. And it was an odd film, and it's essentially about a kind of lowbrow, hippy dippy private eye named Doc Sportello, whose ex-girlfriend has this story about some rich guy who she's involved with, and a plot to like kidnap this guy by his ex-wife and then throw him into the nut house and thereby make a bunch of money. And this, I mean, the actors in this thing are generally good. It stars Joaquin Phoenix, and he's on film for most of the entire film as Doc. He's the central figure, and he's all over it. So if you don't like him, forget about Inherent Vice. And there's great art direction and period vibe, and like this weirdly atmospheric use of needle drops and original score. Period locations, I'm telling you, cool and spot on. But the source material is near surreal and kind of convoluted. And Paul Thomas Anderson, who directed this thing and has done films I've loved, like Magnolia, and certainly, I don't know if I'm in a minority at this point, but I thought The Master was masterful. And I don't think this is as good of a film. And I don't think there's ever been a movie that adapted Thomas Pynchon's work. He did V and Gravity's Rainbow, things that seem unfilmable. And having read this book, I thought, well, this is going to be unfilmable too. But the whole sense of period and the kind of film noir, early 70s, late 60s, vibe with the psychedelic era and the free love stuff, that kind of draws you in. But there's a certain distance, and it's kind of willfully loopy, especially the characterizations. You do get some cool characters, surfers and rock musicians and drug addicts and dealers. You get a loan shark. You got lots of detectives, including in a very strange performance, Josh Brolin as an L.A. detective who is on one hand like a super cop and on the other hand kind of a perv. And you also get a like loony dentist played by Martin Short, who kind of gives a little extra juice to the film when he's on screen. Reese Witherspoon plays a politician, and Catherine Waterston as the ingenue, as the object of desire, is frankly fantastic. And she has a nude scene here, full frontal. And I'm not trying to be lowbrow here, but that is one beautiful woman. Basically,
who's that again?
Catherine Waterston, young actress who just knocked my socks off in terms of her being like the emotional core of the film.
I never hear you say about actors, though. What a good-looking guy that guy is.
Well, let's face facts.
No, but you always go apoplectic over these females.
No. Listen, you don't hear me raving about Judi Dench like this, do you? So I think she's a great actor.
I can look at Idris Elba and see how women would get very moist over this guy.
Okay, you ready? Here we go. That Josh Brolin, what a hunk! Especially
now you're getting ridiculous.
I know, I sure am. Anyway, I thought that this had merit, and I'm actually going to watch it again. But while I was watching it, I kind of got lost in it, and not in the good way. Not my favorite film by P.T. Anderson. Top 5 is the best, sharpest, most intellectually astute, and the funniest thing I think Chris Rock has done on the big screen, and totally informed by his comedy and his worldview. It's a kind of a day in the life thing about a fictionalized version of him. And it seems beholden to very little corporate or lowest common denominator considerations, which I find a lot of comedies are these days. Actually shocking in the creative freedom he was given. And it deals with sort of the slippery slope of going from the stand-up stage to the big time as a movie star, perils and accusations of selling out, the issues of public and private persona, like the problems of racism that can even trip up somebody rich and famous and successful like him. And there's kind of a flavor of autobiography about it, even as the reality is kind of heightened, and it's somewhat fictionalized, of course. But man, I thought it was good, and I recommend it highly. Terrific supporting cast. Rosario Dawson as a journalist who's like ostensibly covering him. Great work from the likes of Tracy Morgan, Cedric the Entertainer, J.B. Smoove, Sherry Shepard, Michael Che and Leslie Jones, current SNL cast members. And Jay Farrow. And in bit parts, cameos by Adam Sandler, Whoopi Goldberg, and Jerry Seinfeld. I thought it was wonderful, and it's going to read well on video, so you don't have to rush out particularly to see it, but I thought it was really wonderful. I'm not a big Cedric the Entertainer fan. He's very good in this. So there you have it. Shockingly, top 5, rockin' my world. And let's see if we can kind of wrap up with something of interest to you. Magician, The Astonishing Life and Work of Orson Welles. Have you seen this as yet?
No.
Made some festival rounds. Okay. The larger-than-life master filmmaker, actor, director, writer Orson Welles is legendary, and he's given the whole archival footage, vintage clip interview treatment by Chuck Workman, who has directed all those famous Oscar montages over the past 30 years. And this is a damn good dip into Welles' life. And for me, even if it wasn't great, I was going to be interested in it. There are movie excerpts from everything from Citizen Kane and The Magnificent Ambersons, his first major feature films, all the way to some of the later stuff like his Othello and F for Fake, which he contributed to.
Yeah, he did not direct that. That was the guy who did Idi Amin Dada.
Well, yeah, there's a fallacy afoot that he
directed it. He didn't direct it. No,
even though it has his name on it.
Right.
Anyway, the truth is there are insights from Welles
I think his
himself.
name was actually put on later on because I remember seeing the film with I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He also directed
Barbet Schroeder.
Barbet Schroeder. As I originally saw that film, I saw his credit as director.
Well, I will say that I love that, and there is some Welles in there. He, particularly the magician side of him, and this movie also talks about the Thin Man, the Third Man, and what's the world's greatest long tracking shot to open a film in history?
It's what do you call it?
A Touch of Evil.
Touch of Evil.
A Touch of Evil. I love that tracking shot. Oh my God, that's also Welles in his later years as an actor.
I think that's actually his best film, in my opinion.
I love that movie, and you get insights. You get excerpts from interviews with Welles himself, including a lot of television stuff. You get British actor Simon Callow, who's a terrific actor, and who's also apparently a Welles expert. This is a real what the hell happened with and to this guy, and why did it happen?
Does he talk about himself about Citizen Kane at all? Because he, in most cases, never would talk about Kane. He only did it once, and I have it here because I bought the Merv Griffin show set. Oh, excuse me, that's my phone.
There is a little of the Merv Griffin interview in here, and so they do address that. And I have to say, I guess it's
because that's the one time. That's the one time he did talk for a second about Kane.
I think he'd be 100 right around now.
In which he said, they said, did William Hearst ruin your career? Merv Griffin said, and he said, probably not as much as I ruined his.
Yeah, that stuff is all there. I think. I mean, it's a very cool experience for someone who's interested in Hollywood history and history of the American.
I'm looking forward to seeing it on Netflix at any moment. Because that's where it'll wind up.
All right. What are you watching in TV? Have you caught up to The Missing yet? Which I love.
No, I've been saving it, but I haven't watched it. But boy, I'll tell you, the Arrow this week. Wow. I've seen cliffhangers and I've seen cliffhangers, but this is a cliffhanger.
Does he actually hang off a cliff? I don't want you to ruin it.
He gets thrown off a cliff after being stabbed all the way through with a sword. Wow. I mean, how anybody can live from this, and now no new shows till late January.
So he needs time. He needs time to heal.
When it comes back, it's going to get quite an audience. This was the best cliffhanger of all time, and then they also finished up Grace Point, and they they changed the killer from Broadchurch.
Well, don't tell us. Don't tell us.
Oh, don't tell you?
Have not watched the last one. Don't know. We haven't watched the last episode.
Oh, well, it looks like it's the same killer, and then it turns out it isn't.
Oh, great! Thanks for ruining it.
Oh, well, hey, come on! You've ruined enough movies for me.
I'm also catching up to. The Game with Brian Cox, set in the early 70s at MI5, kind of fun, still Cold War stuff.
Jeez, I hate it when they keep sending me these texts. Do you hear that sound?
Yeah, sure. We call it put it on mute, but whatever.
I will do that. Anyway,
Oh, and one more note: Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Went into its break with a great episode that answered some questions.
I thought it was kind of boring.
No, I loved it, and I'm really looking forward to Agent Carter with Haley Atwell. The origins of S.H.I.E.L.D. back in the late 40s.
I think Marvel does not do as good TV shows as DC does. So,
well, I will say
Gotham is a great show.
I'm watching S.H.I.E.L.D. and I'm watching The Flash. That's what I'm watching.
And I watch Arrow. And I watch The Flash, and I even watch Constantine, which I think is not bad, but doesn't look like it's going to last. So,
well, I'm a fan of the original book, the Vertigo DC comic Hellblazer. But you know what? There's more out there, and may I again encourage people to seek out The Missing, which I think is available on BBC America. Oh, Stars. It's on Stars. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh gosh, a missing child in a French town, British couple, wonderful stuff with the great French actor Checky Cario.
Anyway, as a French actor, as a French actor, that's why you like it.
No, come on. James Nesbitt from Jekyll is the husband, and Frances O'Connor is the wife. Actually, Frances O'Connor just got nominated for a Golden Globe for The Missing, and it's worth your time.
Yeah, like the Golden Globes are anything. They're 92. Old guys who sit around and figure these things out. That's the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and because they're only stringers in order to make a living, most of them are working as waiters in Hollywood. That's the Foreign Press Association.
You'll note that the only Golden Globes that are really important to me are Catherine Watterson's.
See, there you go again.
You pushed me into it. Anyway, you can check
one
me
little
out.
step further, and you'll be Bill Cosby. Anyway,
let's hope not. You can catch me at Twitter at Culture Blaster and on Facebook, the Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page featuring Alex Bennett and myself and a whole slew of other things.
Okay. Hey, see you next week, I guess, for your big Christmas roundup.
Ho, ho, ho.
See you then. Bye. And that's it. Stay tuned for more here on Gabnet.